truth is out there again. The head of Trendy Aragua, goodbye. We're very happy about that. And Mission Barbecue, a little tiny eatery, takes a pause for America every day at 12 noon. Great story coming up. Welcome to the Jay Sheldon Show. Happy Monday. Yeah, it's Monday. It's here. We made it. We're live on YouTube and Rumble across the platforms. Please give us a follow or a subscribe wherever you're watching. We appreciate that very much. It's free for you and it helps the show. Lets the algorithm let other people know that we're here, and hopefully we'll gain with our subscriber base. All right, we got a lot going on for a Monday. The truth is indeed once again out there. War Department has released their third set of UFO files. That was Friday. Over the weekend, all the sites did their digging. And, back in the 90s through to the aughts, remember the TV show The X-Files? I loved that show. I never missed a show. The famous tagline on that show was, "The truth is out there." And after 2 drops of UFO files back in May, the Department of War has now released a third one. That happened Friday. And so are we getting the truth out there again? Department of War said this when they published it. Statement attributable to Assistant Secretary of War for Public Affairs and Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell. Today, the Department of War is publishing their third release of declassified and historical unidentified anomalous phenomenon files as part of the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP encounters. The collection continues to be housed on war.gov/UFO. You can go there after the show. Department's going to release additional files on a rolling basis. Now, as the rather unprecedented levels of interest in both this topic and Trump admin's historic transparency efforts, war.gov/UFO, 1.7 billion hits as of yesterday worldwide. Wow. And that is just since May 8th, 2026, a little over a month ago. The Department of War and our agency, it says, partners actively working on the next release of UFO files. 53 documents, 10 images collected from the CIA, the FBI, NASA, and the Department of Defense, and other unspecified agencies. 6 videos, 3 NASA audio recordings. The audio shows orb-like objects in the sky. Set of images and clips offer artistic interpretations of reported sightings. And several of the documents detail encounters reported by federal law enforcement officers in 2023, in which 5 agents reported seeing strange orbs on the horizon. One agent recounted their partner asking, "Are you seeing this?" as a glowing orb lit up the sky. 4 of the videos show eyewitness footage of strange encounters, a rather big shift from previous releases that were mostly military footage. The new videos collected by the FBI include details from interviews with witnesses. October 2023 encounter reportedly happened during 2 days in the western U.S. 5 federal law enforcement special agents provided their accounts to the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and each narrative is included in the files. This is some amazing stuff, folks. One agent said the sightings began with weird lights moving along in groups miles away. Another said red lights accelerated instantly and maneuvered with perfect smooth coordination into a horizontal formation. A person only identified as witness number 4 describes smaller orbs being hatched from the larger, very bright orange light multiple times. They lost count after 5 occurrences. Witness 3 said the discharged orbs were like grapes being expelled from a basketball and recalled their partner saying, "Are you seeing this?" The D class and the release of these files, as the statement says, is drawn from Trump's signing of the executive order back in March. Part of the latest release, also on an X post, was put up by Marjorie Olahan. Marjorie is the Daily Wire White House correspondent. She said, according to the newly released UAP files, a witness returning home from work observed an intense bright light in their backyard as they parked their car, the light hovering about 25 feet above the tree line. And there is video. There you go. Look at that. That is weird. Very, very strange stuff. Finally, somebody who is not holding a terribly shaky camera for once. That is insane. Wow. Look at that. Amazing. We are seeing some stuff that has never been seen before, folks. Witnesses returning from home from work said an intense bright light in their backyard as they parked their car 25 feet off the ground below a tree line near the center of their backyard. The spouse of the eyewitness came outside to see what was going on, and the spouse also witnessed the light. The orb rose slowly, moved to the left. Both eyewitnesses observed a second identical orb floating above the other orb. Wow. Again, write it. It's easy to remember. war.gov/UFO. 1.7 billion hits. Damn. What's up there? We're finding out slowly but surely. We're getting more of these files released, according to the DOW, and we're getting set for the next one. I have always believed, I'm not so big on the interdimensional angle of all this. I don't know. I have a hard time wrapping my head around the interdimensional angle. I am a very, very strong believer in the idea that these things come from another planet, solar system, galaxy, where they obviously have a lot more grasp of physics than we do. Oh man, I love this stuff. Danny, hello. My busy schedule finally allowed me here. Get to see my baby today, so getting ready for an appointment. Can't wait. Feeling blessed. Baby doctor, I should clarify. Yeah, I was wondering. It says I'm saving the population over here with my army of kids. Good on you and God bless you. Great to have you back, Danny. Thanks for popping in. Appreciate that. All right. It was an absolutely amazing weekend, and not the least of which we had the president celebrating his 80th birthday, Flag Day, and Trump delivering on America First peace, while pretty much staying true to himself. Yes, I know that giant fight that took place, all the pomp and circumstance. I'm not really covering that too much because it's been everywhere. There is not a social media site you can go to that you will not see something about the unbelievable patriotic red, white, and blue celebrations that went on in front of the White House. President Trump marked his 80th birthday and Flag Day. Same day this weekend, tangible progress on ending the Iran conflict and agreement has been reached. They've reached the deal to halt the fighting, reopen the Straits of Hormuz to international shipping, and remove the U.S. naval blockade. That after months of tension, offering a chance to stabilize energy markets, reduce the risk of any more escalation. That announcement underscores a very consistent approach. Apply pressure when you need it, secure results that put America's interests first. Reopening that critical waterway matters for global commerce, lower costs at the pumps right here at home in America. It is the kind of practical outcome that rewards firmness over endless negotiations. He said, she said, no, I didn't say that, I didn't agree to that. Fire another bomb off at something, blow something else up. While all this was coming to a conclusion, to our benefit entirely, at the same time, the White House was hosting that unbelievable patriotic UFC event on the South Lawn as part of the festivities for the 250th anniversary. Others see it as Trump being Trump, unpretentious, energetic, connected to the broad slice of American culture that enjoys competition, enjoys spectacle. Did you see the national anthem with that jet flyover from the event? Oh, man, my heart. Unbelievable. Polished, scripted politics. There is some value, of course, a lot of value, in a president who doesn't feel compelled to have to apologize for what he believes in and for what his tastes are. Trump's operated at a very high level for many, many decades, folks. He ain't going to change now. No hoping. Not that you would. And a long time before he entered politics, he built a huge, substantial real estate business in New York. And in that environment, he provided construction jobs, economic activity in communities that included a lot of Black New Yorkers. Projects like that created opportunities in a very tough city where it wasn't always easy to find work. He's spoken over the years about seeing talent and potential across all lines, and his developments contributed to the skyline of New York City, local economies in a way that went beyond any single demographic, if you know what I mean. Despite persistent, non-stop political opposition, media scrutiny, this record of building and employing people absolutely stands tall. In his time in the White House, he's been involved in real personal trade-offs. Trump stepped back from the day-to-day operations of a large business empire to focus on governing, which is what he's supposed to do. And that meant foregoing active management of properties and deals, branding opportunities that really had pretty much defined his career. Public service at that level always comes at a cost. Very few modern presidents went into office with the kind of extensive private sector holdings that he had to set aside. That decision reflected a willingness to prioritize this country, the United States of America, over any personal enterprises. Critics, of course, will focus on style. They don't like what he says or how he says it or what optics. What matters more is the ledger. A foreign policy that could wind down hostilities without any new American entanglement, paired with a birthday reflection on 8 decades of work. 80 years old, Trump continues to move with purpose, negotiating from leverage and absolutely refusing to confirm expectations that just never suited him. This moment offers a reminder that effective leadership very often looks different from the conventional model. Results on Iran, economic activity over a lifetime, the discipline to step away from private business when duty called. Those elements form a pattern of someone who measures success by outcomes, not applause. Oh, he loves the applause, but his priority number one is the outcome. Americans benefit when strength produces openings for peace and when a leader remains focused on delivering them. And President Trump, whatever you may think, you cannot deny, this man has delivered 100%. 100%. And while we're on the subject, guess who just can't seem to keep her little wrinkled, ugly mouth shut? Yes, Hillary Clinton. You know, lady, you're done. You're stuffed, you're cooked, stick a fork in you, you're finished. I don't know why anybody continues to pay attention to you. Well, she had a little tantrum over the weekend over the UFC fight, and it got exactly the kind of backlash she deserves. The UFC event at the White House, one of the huge big events scheduled for America 250. A little bit of a preview, the ad put out by the UFC, did you see it, with Teddy Roosevelt? Some history of fights at the White House. Absolutely brilliant. Of course, as with anything with Donald Trump, no matter how good or beneficial it might be, guess who's going to be flipping out over it? The Democrats, of course. And then, of all people to open her fat trap, the person who probably should have been the last to open her fat trap had to weigh in. Here's her ex-post. Remember, during today's literal cage match on White House grounds, no matter what, it's not his house, it's our house. Get a hat, coaster, or sticker to support groups and candidates who will respect the form and function of the people's house. What she's pointing to in that picture is a baseball cap that says, not his house, our house. She's still pissed off because 10 years later, that will never be her house in her lifetime. Ever. Sorry, Hillary. We remember it's our house. We also remember exactly the things that you and Bill did to it. Shall we make a list? Can we talk about the intern and the cigar? How about major donors getting to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom? How about that? And then there was the vandalism that the Clinton folks did when they were leaving, including the removal of the WS from the keyboards, with George W. Bush taking over them, putting them in weird places, taped to the top of door frames. It costs thousands and thousands of dollars to repair the damage that these two knuckleheads did. Walking off with some of the furnishings, which eventually they had to return or they had to pay for. And then, too, Hillary is complaining about how the White House is being used, and she uses that complaint to try to raise money for a political action committee. Onward together. So even her objection has a money hook to it. This just still shows the angst she has against her loss to Trump. Like I said, Hillary, sorry, sit down, shut up. That will never, ever be your house. And as Hillary always does, replies to her post, shut off. because she knows she's going to get flamed, charcoal, grilled, broiled. It is so stupid. People will still just quote tweet her, call her out on her nonsense. Take a seat, Hillary. Take a seat. We don't care anymore what you think or say. You're done. Crazy. Hello, Marilyn. Be blessed. Praise the Lord. Great to have you back in the mix. Unbelievable. All right. How about a little Blackout coffee? Blackout coffee is America's best coffee. It is all an American company. They work with local co ops and American farmers to grow the best beans on the planet. They only roast your beans after you place your order. And if you like, you can't grind your own beans, not a problem, because they've got an option on all their popular roasts for them to grind the beans for you. Oh, yeah, you can get ground now in addition to whole beans. You place your order, they roast your beans, they ship them out within 24 to 48 hours. Flavors, coffee pods, instant, cold brew, they've got it all. All the flavored coffees are fantastic. And of course, their regular coffee, all their different roasts. My favorite is pitch black espresso because as rich and powerful as you can be. But you know what? Even the pitch black espresso, as powerful, full flavored coffee that it is never ever bitter. You will never find any of their roasts bitter. They've somehow pulled off the magic and found a way to make this the best full flavored coffee that's never bitter. Check them out. There's a description down there. You might have to expand it down, and you will find a link right at the top for Blackout Coffee. Use that link. I challenge you to try a single bag. Pick your favorite roast, even a flavored coffee. Try a bag. You'll be back for more. When you do, use the code J20, JAY20, and that will get you 20% off your first order. There are always fantastic deals going on over there. In the description, Blackout Coffee, use that link, and thanks for helping to support the show. John Santos and the gang over at Blackout Coffee. We love you guys. All right. Another little piece of news that came up over the weekend. The head of Tren de Aragua is no more. Bye-bye. I'm sure he's hanging out in some very fiery hot place right now. And Trump has shared the video of the lethal kinetic strike which killed the head of Tren de Aragua. That story just broke over the weekend. There were not a lot of other details laid out about it, but Trump announced the United States Southern Command has eliminated Nino Guerrero, the leader of the violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, with a swift and lethal kinetic attack. And he shared the video on his Truth Social. At my direction, Southern Command delivered a swift and lethal kinetic strike to successfully execute Nino Guerrero, leader of Tren de Aragua, one of the most bloodthirsty terrorist organizations on planet Earth. So let's just take a moment and enjoy this absolute scumball's final moments. There's his house. Say bye. Goodbye. Nice knowing you. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Don't really have many other details except he's dead, and we like that. Danny says, wow, I did not see that. Make the world safe again. Yes, indeed. Done. Dusted. Goodbye. I'm sure there's somebody right behind in the wings waiting to take over, but for now, the leader, gone. As you know, on Friday's show, we told you that Elon had finally surpassed the goal and became the world's first trillionaire. And the left freaked out. Why does the left hate success so much? Why? Tech guru Elon Musk is now worth over $1 trillion. He solidified his status on Friday. Naturally, of course, the leftists are in total meltdown mode. The freakout started Friday morning, shortly after Musk's SpaceX began trading at $150 a share, a figure which was above the listing price of $135. According to Fox Business, combined with his holdings in electric vehicle maker Tesla, as well as other investments and assets, his net worth estimated to be about $1.1 trillion. Ka-ching! His major achievement, apparently too much for the lefties. Across interwebs, these emotionally fragile figures proceeded to throw all kinds of temper tantrums at the Tesla founder's business success. Like I said, they hate you if you're successful. Now, you know what? If Elon had not been friends with Trump, they would have been celebrating this guy from here to Sunday. They would have had ticker tape parades. But because he connected himself with President Trump, of course the lefties are going to hate him. The Globe and the Mail contributor Chris Gay kicked off the party. He wrote a column called SpaceX IPO Makes Elon Musk the First Trillionaire, and here is how to properly hate him. They have since changed the last line of that headline to be, "Is that a bad look for capitalism?" Good old Pocahontas, Senator Warren from Massachusetts, sent up a smoke signal to her ex-followers. Lamenting Musk's trillionaire status, she called for an implementation of a wealth tax, like she always does, not understanding how many billions of dollars this man already pays in taxes every year. You idiot. Hair gel poster boy Gavin Newsom, who has lived a very charmed life of luxury, I might add, has an estimated net worth of, about $30 million. Well, he also managed to lash out, claiming the system is rigged. Rep. Pramelia Jayapal, Democrat from Washington, Obama henchman John Favreau, and others, among those to take part in this meltdown. Some say it's all political, purely political. Musk, of course, a key figure in helping Trump's 2024 White House bid, spearheaded the Doge initiative. But there's actually really a more fundamental reason at play here than just politics. The Democrats will never admit to it, of course, but it's true. Leftists embrace a collectivist worldview in which individual success must be neutralized. Their entire political agenda demands that individuals be dependent on the state, not dependent on themselves. It's why the minute the little guy gets some modicum of financial success, Democrats will swoop in, tax the rich, redistribute the wealth. They can't have Americans thinking that, achieving your dreams are possible through hard work and determination. Oh, no, we can't have that. Important to note, by the way, that this standard only applies to other people's money. Left-wingers who supposedly back redistributing wealth, from washed-up actor Mark Ruffalo, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, they'll moan and bitch all the way about the rich all day long, but they never distribute their own wealth. Oh, there's no redistributing from what they've got in their bank accounts. You can bet on that. The left's unbridled hatred of Musk certainly stems from him absolutely refusing to bow to their insane ideology. It's also, though, based on this animalistic instinct to oppose success at every turn and ensure a system in which only they have the power. Because that's all they want, is the power. And they don't like the fact that Trump says, if you're Italian and you're watching the video, you know exactly what that means. Danny says nobody cared about Elon or his wealth until he supported Trump, and they sure love his vehicles. Absolutely right. Bingo, spot on. Spot on. Ay, ay, ay. Man, it feels like a Monday more and more. All right. The Black Lives Matters lie. What? Huh? What do you say? Oh, yeah. That lie is exactly why Austin Metcalf is dead and Carmelo Anthony is in prison. If there isn't a complete rejection of the Black Lives Matter movement, these kind of events are going to keep playing out well into the future. A jury rightfully convicted Carmelo Anthony for murder, sentenced him to 35 years in prison. But if there isn't finally a complete rejection of the whole toxic Black Lives Matter movement, these kind of things are going to go on. They're going to continue. There will be more violence, and if justice is served, more young black men in prison. At the heart of the BLM ideology, lazy, destructive assertion that black and brown people are oppressed by whites, and therefore minorities, particularly blacks, are entitled to exhibit antisocial behavior without any consequences, like resisting arrest, stealing. Case of Anthony, bring a knife to a high school track meet in the event you decide you want to murder someone under the guise of self-defense. Undisputed events of that case as follows. In early 2025, Anthony, then 17, attended a Texas high school track meet. He entered the tent of a school team that was not his own, apparently to shelter from the rain. He was told to leave by at least one person, student Austin Metcalf, also 17 years old. Anthony protested, and when Metcalf advanced towards him, Anthony, with his hand in his bag, warned Metcalf to back off. Metcalf pushed Anthony, and that's when Anthony plunged his knife into Metcalf's chest and struck his heart. Anthony then fled before being apprehended by police. At some point shortly thereafter, he admitted to the stabbing. These are just the facts. Anthony's defenders have demonstrated their adherence to the whole Black Lives Matter ideology, either knowingly or not, by maintaining that Anthony was justified in responding to a shove at a grade school athletic event by thrusting a concealed blade into the chest of another teenager. They say it's similar to the 2020 case of Kyle Rittenhouse, being chased on foot by a violent mob, shot 3 people, killing 2 of them. This comparison, folks, is absolute laughable bullshit. Rittenhouse was on scene attempting to help citizens stop race rioters in Kenosha, Wisconsin, protect the private property of his associates, and after a convict, for no discernible reason, chased Rittenhouse, ultimately cornering him in a parking lot, Rittenhouse shot him and attempted to notify police. When the mob grew alert, they also gave chase, only for Rittenhouse to trip and fall to the ground, at which point he fired more shots at his aggressors. Rittenhouse prosecuted and the jury acquitted because the overwhelming evidence was that he acted in self-defense. In contrast, Mr. Anthony was not defending himself. He was engaging in antisocial behavior, the deadly kind. The justice that was served makes it no less a tragedy for Anthony and his family. They and their defenders buy into a degenerate, corrosive ideology made clear by Anthony's parents immediately after the trial, suggesting the verdict was tainted by racism. There were, in fact, non-whites on the jury. If you heard it was an all-white jury, that is a lie. Now, it is a tragedy in these BLM-fueled events. The public can't count on juries to deliver the right verdict every time. If we could, Derek Chauvin, the officer convicted of murdering drug addict George Floyd, would not be sitting in prison right now. Had Metcalf been murdered in 2020 or 2021, the outcome would likely have been very different. BLM is currently very weak. They're not dead, but they're very weak. And until it is, sadly, no one is safe. Danny, even if he warned, no excuse for murder. My high school was in Aurora, Illinois, the mini Chicago city. Multiple fights every day, provoked or unprovoked, and no one took a life. Thank you for that. Precisely. Danny, you've always got a related story that backs up exactly what we're talking about. Thank you. I love you for that. I mean, I love you for a lot of things, but especially that. Where do you get your cell service from? What? It's not Patriot Mobile, but they are America's only Christian conservative cell service provider. What are you waiting for?
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Use your dollars to make a difference. PatriotMobile.com/J, J-A-Y. That is the link to use to get yourself signed up. Their customer service folks are all U.S.-based. They speak your language, and they're there to help you. They are not there to upsell you into some plan you can't afford. They're there to put a plan together that fits your budget. And don't forget all the money you pay in your bill every month, not one penny of that goes to any lefty causes. They are a Christian conservative company that believes in our values: First and Second Amendment, religious freedom, the right to life. Patriot Mobile is a fantastic group of folks. If you forget, the link is down in our description. It's easy though. patriotmobile.com/J, J-A-Y. And if you use that link and you get signed up, you get your first month free. Yep, your first month is on me. patriotmobile.com/J. Go over, check them out. Find out more about all the good stuff with Patriot Mobile. All right. A new study is out, and this study has just confirmed the left's worst kept secret. I love this when it comes together. If you've spent any time, even 5 seconds, arguing with liberals online, you already know this. And now there's a new study that proves it. Decades of research have shown that political conservatives report better mental health and greater happiness than their counterparts on the left. You know, when you think about it, when you think back, like, for example, take a look at this goofball. Remember her? Or him? Or it? Can you imagine the life that this person must have? Does this person ever know a moment of peace when everything about her life, I'm assuming it's a her, it puts her in that mood? Of course, that's what a new study, which was published in the journal Political Behavior, takes the findings of we're happier than they are even a step further. The study found, listen, mental illness is emerging as a political identity on its own, most heavily aligned with leftist political ideology and causes. It clusters heavily among younger, far-left Americans. Shocking, I know, really, Columbia University magazine back in 2023 said, American adults who identify as politically liberal have long reported lower levels of happiness and psychological well-being than conservatives. But researchers spent years scratching their heads trying to figure out why. Scholars from the University of Florida and Toronto eventually took a crack at it, drawing on 4 separate studies. And their conclusion? Conservatives tend to have greater personal agency, religiosity, moral clarity, positive outlook, stronger self-worth. Since most of my audience, if not all, is conservative, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's true. There are traits consistently linked to being resilient and to having good mental health. In other words, having a sense of purpose, taking responsibility for your life, is actually kind of good for you. Huh, who knew? Professor Lauren Van de Hey from Utah State U conducted research that connects the mental health gap directly to political identity formation. Her findings from the 2022 Cooperative Elections Study, nationally represented survey administered by YouGov, she says, I further find there's an emerging mental health political identity that is most pronounced among younger Gen Zs and more liberal Americans. More than half of the study participants who identified as having a mental illness, more than half said that identity was very important or somewhat important to them personally. That, folks, is a voting bloc in the making. She also found mental health identity operates differently in politics than physical disability or serious physical illness. She said, I found that political predictors and political consequences for the emerging mental health identity differ from those for physical disability and serious physical illness categories and identification. She said, the implication is clear. Mental health struggles, increasingly worn as badges of identity, carry huge political weight. Her study draws that the connection explicitly points to gender politics as a precedent for how subjective personal struggles can become major political drivers. Now, make no mistake about it, this is by design. The left has a formula, and if you notice, they keep running it again and again and again. This Van de Hayes study does not sugarcoat what's coming either. She says these findings have far-reaching consequences for mental health advocacy and the role mental health identity will play in the political sphere, especially as Gen Z matures as a cohort. She's right. She is absolutely right, probably not in the way she intends. But when emotional struggles become the foundation of a political organization, the whole incentive structure flips on its head. You don't get better outcomes. You get a movement with every reason to keep people anxious and dependent and radicalized. And you wonder why they're so crazy. Well, there it is in black and white. You don't need to wonder anymore. Danny, I do believe it's religion. While my sister is fully a Trump supporter, she doesn't believe in God. And she's so miserable we don't even talk. It's always a negative, and she wastes her life gambling away. Sad. At least you talk, hopefully. Oh, you don't talk. Okay, that is sad. All right, we're going to wrap things up. But before we go, there has been so much. I mean, oh, by the way, I am now no longer connected to Meta or Facebook. I'm gone. You will not find my profile on Facebook, either my Jay Sheldon personal profile or the Jay Sheldon Show. We have left you. Goodbye. We don't miss you. We never will. You are an absolute piece of shit website, and we have no use for you. So, without a hesitant moment of doubt, I click the button and I am gone. Bye bye. Find me on X. Find me on Truth Social. Find me on YouTube. Rumble, of course. But Facebook? Goodbye, sucker. All right. This weekend was so full of patriotism and pomp and circumstance and national anthems and flying jets and good old glory and falling parachutists with flags underneath. Unbelievable. What a weekend. And I thought perhaps we would look at a very little tiny small town, a place called Mission Barbecue, which in a world that never seems to slow down even for a moment, Mission Barbecue hits the pause button every single day at 12 noon. And suddenly, strangers become one heartbeat under the flag of the United States of America. Little hands over tiny hearts, eyes wide with wonder. That is how you plant the roots of gratitude that grow into unbreakable pride. Teaching our kids that respect is not just taught, it is felt in those powerful, powerful 90 seconds. And there she is. Mission Barbecue for 90 seconds every day at 12 noon. With all the pomp and circumstance and all the big names and billion-dollar stars, that's what America is all about. Happy birthday. All right, folks, thanks so much for popping by. We appreciate it. Please give us a follow if you're watching on Rumble. On YouTube, it's subscribe, of course. It's all free. Give us a thumbs up and a like. And, of course, help to support the show by our sponsors. Or if you want to make a direct donation, our PayPal link is the top one in our description. You can do that if you'd like. We really appreciate that, too. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, and I'll be back again tomorrow.